Once again, good morning.
Good morning.
And welcome to the 2023 Memorial Day celebration here in Venango. What a beautiful day to honor our veterans, both past and present. My name is Rick McCleary, and I'm a member of the Veterans Entombment Testimonial Service, better known as the Vets Honor Guard. At this time, I would like to ask everyone to please stand for our national anthem, to be sung by newly appointed Second Lieutenant Victoria Stackerwright, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Major Don Beatty, Composite Squadron 501 of the Civil Air Patrol. Major Don Beatty, Composite Squadron 501 Civil Air Patrol, will now lead our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. The opening prayer will now be offered by Julie Mansfield, VFW Post 1835, Auxiliary Chapter.
Welcome all. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful day to take advantage of the opportunity to honor the men and women who so bravely served this country in the past as well as in the present. We are honored to remember the many brave men and women who have given their lives throughout the history of our great nation. Those who have made the ultimate sacrifice to protect us from harm. We salute all those who have served and who are serving now. We raise these prayers for their safety and blessing. We ask you to heal our wounded warriors who returned home in pain after they gave their all for this great land. Bless them, restore their souls, heal their bodies, bring salvation to the lost. Father, we ask you to bless the families of our military who stay behind while their loved ones goes into battle. Keep them safe and provide for their needs according to your abundance. Lord, pray for a special blessing upon the families whose loved ones gave his or her life to this country. Keep them safe and comfort their hearts. Lord, we ask you to anoint our chaplains and others who bring the word to our military. Bless their ministry and bring a great harvest of souls from their efforts. Father, we ask you to forgive the sins of this nation as well as the sins of the leaders who have forgotten how to pray. Have mercy on all Americans and bring us to a state of repentance in these difficult times. We ask you to forgive our pride as a nation and deliver us from the evil that has come upon us. You alone are righteous and holy. You alone are worthy of praise. We thank you for hearing our prayer. Amen.
Thank you for that very much. This time I'd like to introduce the commanders and the president of the various veterans organizations that are on stage with us. Franklin VFW Post 1835, Matthew Gardner. Also Buck Cisco, VFW Post 1835, trustee. Franklin VFW Post 1835, Auxiliary President Susan Hubler. Franklin Catholic War Vets Post 1741, Richard Supak. Franklin American Legion Post 476, Richard Dieter. Venango County Veterans Affairs Director, Harry Whitmore. And Vets Honor Guard, John Flick. Thank you very much for your service to this community and all that you do. Also at this time, I'd like to introduce one of our county commissioners, Albert Chip Abramovic. Thank you, Chip, for being a part of this program. At this time, John Flick will now provide the reading of the POW and MIA setting.
Please note the small table here in a place of honor. It is set for one. This table is our way of symbolizing the fact that members of our profession of arms are missing from our midst. They're commonly called POWs or MIAs. We call them brothers. They are unable to be with us, so we remember them. The table is set for one. It is small, symbolizing the frailty of one prisoner alone against his oppressors. Remember. The tablecloth is white, symbolizing the purity of their intentions to respond to their country's call to arms. Remember. The single red rose displayed in a vase reminds us of the families and loved ones of our comrades in arms who keep the faith, awaiting their return. Remember. The red ribbon tied so prominently on the vase is reminiscent of the red ribbon worn upon the lapel and breast of thousands who bear witness to their unyielding determination to demand a proper accounting of our missing. Remember. The candle is lit, symbolizing the upward reach of their unconquerable spirit. Remember. A slice of lemon is on the bread plate to remind us of their bitter fate. Remember. There is salt upon the bread plate, symbolic of the family's tears as they wait. Remember. The glass is inverted. They cannot toast with us this night. Remember. The chair is empty. They are not here. Remember. Remember. All of you who served with them and called them comrades, who depended upon their might and aid and relied upon them, for surely they have not forsaken you. Remember. Remember until the day they come home. Remember. The number of veterans still missing as of May 26, 2023 is 82,433. 72,222 from World War II. 7,500 from Korea. 1,579 from Vietnam. 126 from the Cold War. 1 from Operation El Dorado. And 5 from the Persian Gulf. Remember.
Thank you, John. At this time, I would like to introduce this year's Grand Marshal, Dale Water, United States Army veteran, Vietnam era veteran, chaplain of Post 476 of the American Legion, and a member of the Vets Honor Guard. Thank you, Dale. At this time, we recognize all the past wars our country has fought in, and we will be placing the wreaths at this time. Those placing the wreaths, please remain at the cross until dismissed. Revolutionary War, Gerda Anderson. The War of 1812, Michelle Combs. Mexican War, Amy Gardner. Civil War, Landon Swem. Spanish-American War, Karen Hill. World War I, Jeff Goheen. World War II, Tanya Berger. Korean War, Martha Walter. Vietnam War, Brooke Hoffman. Persian Gulf War, Marilyn Warner. Global War on Terrorism, Nicole Gartner. Veterans of all wars, Ariella Swell. Thank you all. You may be seated. Our guest speaker, Randy Stackelrod, was born and raised in New Jersey, in the shadow of New York City. In 1979, he joined the United States Navy. He was trained in aviation electronics and was assigned to the Helicopter Squadron 4 in San Diego. In the Navy, he was deployed twice. The first time was aboard the aircraft carrier USS Kitty Hawk, where he completed a Western Pacific Westpac tour. His second Navy deployment was aboard the maiden voyage of the newly commissioned aircraft, the USS Carl Vinson. The Vincent departed Newport News, Virginia, and completed a world cruise by sailing east to Oakland, California. He left the Navy as a petty officer, second class, in 1983. He had a break in his military service, during which time he married the former Penny Taylor and started a family. They moved to Franklin, Pennsylvania, and raised their family of 5 children. In 1996, Randy joined the Pennsylvania National Guard and started his service there in Oil City, Pennsylvania, in Sea Battery, 229th Field Artillery, before they transitioned to Sea Battery, 107th Field Artillery. He was a corporal on September 11, 2011, and volunteered for the airport mission, Operation Noble Eagle, to help protect the nation's air travel. In 2003, he was activated and deployed to serve in Operation Iraqi Freedom in support of the global war on terror. His field artillery unit was retrained as military police and shipped out to Iraq. Immediately landing in Baghdad, he and his squadron were detached from his unit to provide temporary additional security at Abu Ghraib prison. A few weeks later, they were reattached to their unit, where he went to serve as a battle captain as Ashraf Fallujah in Baghdad. After 15 months of deployment, he came back home to Franklin in 2005. In 2007, then Staff Sergeant Stackelrod, on the advice of officers and enlisted leaders in his unit, attended Warrant Officer Candidate School and was promoted to Warrant Officer 1. He was transferred to Headquarters Battalion 107th Field Artillery in Newcastle, Pennsylvania, where he served as a battalion targeting officer. While there, he served on multiple state active duty missions and volunteered for the Pennsylvania Homeland Response Force, a specially trained extra duty unit that was formed to respond to major national crisis events. He also volunteered and supported 3 separate presidential inaugurations as a member of the National Guard. In 2017, he volunteered to serve in Kuwait for Operation Spartan Shield. He was transferred to Headquarters Company of the 28th Infantry Division and deployed to Kuwait in 2018. There he served as Division Targeting Officer. He returned home from Kuwait at the end of 2018 and spent 3 months at Fort Belvoir, Virginia, clearing up medical issues that started while in Kuwait. He retired from the National Guard in 2019 as Chief Warrant Officer 3 after 29 years of military service that literally took him around the world and to 14 countries. 3 of Randy and Penny's children went on to join the military. Their son Eric is a former Marine. Their daughter Yvette is currently serving as a combat medic in the Pennsylvania National Guard. And their daughter Victoria, a newly commissioned second lieutenant medical officer in the Pennsylvania National Guard, who sang our national anthem here today. Randy is currently retired from both the military and civilian worlds and lives with his wife Penny of 33 years in Franklin, Pennsylvania. Although retired, he still serves his community at Franklin High School, working with students as an honorable night volunteer. At this time, Randy Stackelrod.
Hello, and thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you to all the organizers who made this happen, and thank you, First Sergeant John Flick, for inviting me. I sincerely hope I can live up to your expectations. I hope I can do this day justice. We have 3 major patriotic holidays in America. The first and most celebrated is the 4th of July, or Independence Day. That day, once a year, we celebrate the birth of a nation that was conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. That nation did not come into existence simply because some men put their names on a piece of paper and told King George III that we're going our separate ways. Instead, our nation was born in a war. It was hard fought, but when that war was over, a land of freedom was born. We celebrate that beginning to this day. The second patriotic holiday is Veterans Day. Veterans Day is a time to celebrate and thank the people we know and meet who wear and who have worn the uniform of our country. People who have stepped up and said they will stand between our country and, most importantly, our people in any threat, either foreign or domestic. People who routinely sacrifice bits and pieces of their own lives in order to stand on that wall that separates us from anyone who would do us harm. And last, but certainly not least, of the 3 great American patriotic holidays is Memorial Day. Wikipedia says that Memorial Day is a federal holiday in the United States, and its purpose is to honor and to mourn the U.S. military personnel who died while serving in the United States Armed Forces. In this park, where we are gathered today, there are several monuments that have been dedicated to those service members who have served our country in wars past. On each memorial, those soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines who died while in our country's service are marked. Today is a day to honor those men and women, to honor those who risked everything, and ultimately those who gave everything. During his Gettysburg Address, President Lincoln stood upon the battlefield of Gettysburg and said, "We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who gave their lives that this nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this." And although Memorial Day started after the Civil War ended and after President Lincoln gave his famous speech, I firmly believe that he would find it altogether fitting and proper to take one day a year to honor those who gave that last full measure of devotion. We who are here today live in small towns, far from the hustle and bustle of big cities. Even so, we have had no shortage of heroes who risked all and who gave all. There are 4 young men that come to mind, men who distinguished themselves during our last long war, the global war on terror. The first of these is Specialist Jonathan Kephart of the United States Army. He was raised in Oil City just up the road from here. He was a newspaper carrier and an honor student. He joined the Army to serve his country and was assigned to the 230th Military Police Company from Kaiserslautern, Germany. His unit was called up to support Iraqi freedom and was sent to Iraq in 2004. He had been in Iraq just 10 days when his convoy patrol was ambushed in Baghdad. His squad had been ordered to go to the location of another patrol that had been ambushed, and as they headed towards that other patrol, a battle erupted that lasted for 45 minutes. It was estimated that during that battle, some 300 insurgents ambushed them. Kephart, a gunner, was wounded but continued shooting until his vehicle was hit with an RPG. Jonathan Kephart was severely wounded, and after the battle, he was evacuated to an Army hospital where he succumbed to his wounds. According to Sergeant First Class Rossman, Jonathan's platoon sergeant, Jonathan Kephart's bravery and effectiveness saved the others in his squad. He was declared a hero by his peers and his superiors. He was laid to rest up in Brandon Cemetery up in Seneca. The next 2 soldiers both served with Battery C, 1st of the 107th Field Artillery from Oil City. Battery C was called up in October of 2003. They were cross-trained from artillerymen to military police and were renamed Alpha Company and assigned to the 89th MP Brigade. They served 15 months in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. Sergeant Carl Curran and Specialist Mark Saseki were part of the Scorpion platoon of Alpha Company 89th MPs. On the night of May 16, 2004, they were patrolling near the village of Al-Karma, just outside of Fallujah, Iraq. They were part of a patrol of 4 Humvees. Theirs was the 4th in the convoy. They had their lights turned off and they were wearing night vision goggles to drive in the dark. As their vehicle crossed over the bridge marked on the maps as Checkpoint 53, an insurgent set off a roadside bomb. The bomb injured the soldiers. The flash blinded their NVGs. The blast disabled their vehicle and sent it rolling down a steep embankment where it landed upside down in the water of an irrigation canal. There were 3 men in that truck. When the violence of the crash stopped, they were all wearing full battle gear. They were upside down, they were blinded, they were stunned, and they were strapped into their vehicle. The doors of the vehicle were battle locked, meaning that no one from the outside could open them. As the rest of their patrol fought to free them from the wreckage, the heavily armored vehicle sank deeper and deeper into the mud. After what seemed an eternity, the rest of the patrol managed to open one of the doors. One of the 3 soldiers made it out alive, but it was too late for Sergeant Carl Kern and Specialist Mark Kisecki. Mark Kisecki was laid to rest in the National Cemetery of the Alleghenies and left behind 5 siblings and his mother. Carl Kern is buried in Brady's Bend Cemetery in Brady's Bend, and he left behind a young wife and an infant daughter who would never get to know her father. Not too far from here, down Route 322 in Knox, another young man lived. Ross McGinnis spent his young youth playing basketball and soccer, and once wrote that when he grew up, he wanted to be an Army man. He made that dream come true when he joined the Army in June of 2004. He was assigned the 1st Battalion, 26th Infantry Regiment in Ledward Barracks, Schweinfurt, Germany. In August 2006, he and his unit were deployed to Baghdad. On December 4, 2006, his platoon was on a mounted patrol in Adamaya, Iraq. He was the gunner in his Humvee. While they were patrolling, a grenade was thrown that went through the gunner's hatch and into their vehicle. With his entire future in front of him and his comrades surrounding him, he could have frozen in fear, but he did not. He could have jumped out of the gunner's hatch to safety, but he did not. According to his Medal of Honor citation, he yelled "grenade," allowing all 4 members of his crew to prepare for the grenade's blast. Then, rather than leaping from the gunner's hatch to safety, Private McGinnis made the courageous decision to protect his crew. In a selfless act of bravery in which he was mortally wounded, Private McGinnis covered the live grenade, pinning it between his body and the vehicle and absorbing most of the explosion. Private McGinnis is buried in Arlington National Cemetery. He left behind his entire family and a future that he will never get to see. Sometimes people ask if we should be celebrating Memorial Day with picnics and parties. Should we have friends and family over? For barbecues and horseshoes? Should we celebrate or should we spend the day in mourning? Ultimately, that's a question that we each have to answer for ourselves. But for me, I say yes. Celebrate. Have your friends over. Enjoy your day off. Play cornhole. Pet the dog. Enjoy the freedoms and the liberties that so many have fought for and that so many gave everything for. Honor their memories by living a life and being a person that is worthy of their sacrifice. But at some point today, either in front of or with your gathered friends and family, or perhaps just in the quiet of your own heart, say a prayer and give thanks to those heroes who gave everything for us. Thank you. May God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America.
Thank you, Randy, for your service to this country and your continued service to the community. We appreciate that. After the reading of names, taps will be played, followed by 3 rifle volleys. During the playing of taps, all veterans are invited to stand if physically possible and render a proper military salute. As a fitting way to honor the memory of the veterans whose names have just been read, we are suggesting that all others remain seated. Place your right hand over your heart and reflect on the service these men and women have given to our nation. At this time, Richard Supak, commander of the Catholic War Vets, Post 1741, will now read the names of those veterans from Venango County who have passed away since Memorial Day 2022.
We are here today not to remember the living, but to honor those who have come before us. Talk to your loved ones and friends. Give them the memories, allowing them to know the good along with the bad of your life. Write it down so that they may celebrate your memory, that they may keep it in their hearts and in their minds. This past year, 195 of our brothers and sisters have died and gone before us. Let us remember and honor them as we read their names. The following veterans served during World War II. Joseph A. Ignello, John T. Barber, Roy M. Dougherty, Richard H. Green, Louis C. Herb, Zane L. Hoffman, Joseph J. Hollenbach, James E. Lindquist, Joseph R. Morrison, Ivan E. Ogle, Korean and Vietnam, Donald J. Palmer Jr., Gerald E. Perry, William J. Persian, Charles D. Rose, John C. Rogers Sr., Wade A. Spence Sr., Edward A. Texau, Clinton L. Wasson Sr. The following veterans served during the Korean War: Ronald L. Ashbaugh, Cecil E. Baker, Donald L. Baker, John L. Bashline, Lee W. Benedict, David J. Bloom. Joseph R. Buchholz, William F. Craig, Richard E. Earhart, Frederick E. Fisher, Thomas W. Guyton, Ron M. Hall, Gary A. Hartzell, Bartlett E. Howe, Christopher Heydrich Jr., William W. Kapp, William R. Carnes, Richard E. Kelly, Frank B. Kendrick Jr., James A. Lynn, Eric I. Manders, James H. McElroy, Vietnam, James N. McLaughlin, Harry A. Moon, Thomas F. Myers, Donald D. Neiswanger, A. L. Reynolds, Russell L. Rinker, Glenn T. Ross Sr., Eugene C. Sheffer, Carl J. Sherman, Arthur Simpson, Roy L. Silker, Samuel A. Schwartz, Carl E. Townsend. Finley L. Wetling Jr., Donald E. Westover, Donald R. Reitman, Vietnam, Robert E. Young. The following veterans served during the Vietnam War: Robert E. Allen Sr., Floyd J. Bachman, George L. Beach, Edward J. Bergen, Dale E. Blauser, Robert H. Braden, Bruce A. Briner, Robert R. Burns Jr., Robert H. Carnes, Richard E. Carter, Leroy Clark, Gregory D. Collins, Thomas J. Combs, Robert M. Connor, David R. Cokeworther, Carolyn L. Kern, Joseph A. Kern Jr., William H. Early, Douglas E. Elliott, Paul E. Floxery, Robert E. Goodman, Lester G. Graham Jr., James C. Guyton, Stephen D. Hahn, Jacqueline L. Hazlett, Robert Hazlett, Robert D. Huff, Paul L. Jones, Kenneth R. Kabler, Jamie E. Keener, Jonathan P. Kelly, William M. Kelly, Harold B. Klein, Wayne G. Klinger Jr., Raymond C. Koch, Elu P. Lawrence, Dennis J. Mancini, James H. Marshall, Bruner J. P. Matthews, Lauren S. Miller, Calvin E. Knoll, William J. Nosco, Terrence A. O'Neill, Kenneth W. Orosino, James E. Patton, Thomas H. Patterson, John A. Reed, Rick A. Renninger, Randy L. Rice, Lynn B. Roach Jr., Betty Lou Rogers, Lawrence S. Root, James A. Sandock, Robert L. Schneider, David E. Schnell, Raymond E. Shefstall, Paul E. Sloss, John H. Steele, Luther C. Stone, Thomas G. Strawbridge, Barbara A. Strait, Donald H. Weisenfluth Jr., Paul M. Wheeling Jr., John T. Wren, Robert I. Yarnell, David J. Young. The following veterans served during the Gulf War: Paul A. Barger, James B. Barthen, Dennis L. Coxon, Dennis J. Drody, Dell R. Dunlap, Gary C. Fowler, William W. Hunter, Lucas A. Mitchell, Ryan Shane Steer. The following veterans served during peacetime: Danny L. Armand, John L. Baker, Vernon Baker, William Baker, Glenn L. Boder, Thomas P. Bish, Robert J. Bookwalter, John L. Bracken, Francis A. Bruno, Richard D. Burke, Ronald L. Carlson, Albert B. Clark, Thomas R. Clausen, Orvik D. Crawford, Harvey R. Cricks, Ronald R. Dolanek, James P. Exley, Walter J. Flinchball, Bernard M. Foster, Earl P. Frederick, Sr., Edward L. Garpavy, Roy D. George, James M. Gibbons, Timothy M. Hardenraker, Richard B. Heath, Linda S. Henderson, Ronald J. Hogue, John T. Hopewood, Sr., Thomas R. Horner, Roger R. Johnson, Jerome Josman, William R. Kane, Thomas A. Carnes, Clarence R. Keener, Jr., J. D. Klinger, Clifford E. Lake, William E. Matisich, James C. McCutcheon, Robert R. McDonough, Walter J. McFadden, Clark M. McFall, James B. McGinnis, Jerry A. McMurray, Paul L. Meehan, David K. Nelson, Richard Oxenham, Robert F. Cosido, Walter J. Rivas, Gerald B. Reed, Richard A. Reed, Alvin G. Rhodey, Bruce D. Rogers, Arthur D. Ruth, J. A. Scott, Maximilian Stephan, Richard L. Soka, Donald E. Stillings, Alan R. Wagner, Larry R. Waits, John Wallace, Richard O. Away, Willis R. Webster, John E. Whitmire, James L. Winger, Richard J. Whiteshick. Once again, let us pause for a moment of silence to remember our brothers and sisters who have died and gone before us. Thank you.
Those veterans that are standing, please remain standing for just a moment, while those here show their appreciation for your service to this nation. Thank you. You may be seated. At this time, I would like to ask if any Blue Star families are in attendance. Are there any Gold Star families with us here today? I would like to explain the Blue Star flag. Authorized by the United States Department of Defense, the service flag is a banner which may be displayed by families of members of the armed forces during times of war or hostilities. Depending on the number of family members at war, the banner has one or more blue stars on a red bordered white triangle. The Gold Star flag. This symbol originated in World War I, but on this flag, it signifies the service through all generations from the American Revolution to the present day. The white border beneath and surrounding the gold star recognizes the purity of sacrifice. There is no greater price an American can pay than to give his or her life for the service of this country. I'd like at this time to offer a special thank you to all the mothers, fathers, wives, and husbands of veterans who attended here today. I would like to thank the Silver Cornet Band for their participation in this program. A brief ceremony will be held at Pioneer Cemetery immediately following this service, which is provided by the Daughters of the American Revolution. At 1 p.m., a brief ceremony will take place at St. Patrick's Cemetery, and all are invited. At this time, I would like to ask Julie Mansfield to offer a benediction to close the ceremony.
As we remember those who have made the ultimate sacrifice for the freedoms we enjoy every day, we think of how they have followed in the footsteps of your Son. Please hold our servicemen and women in your arms. Cover them with your sheltering grace and your presence as they stand in the gap for your protection. We also remember the families of our troops. We ask for your unique blessing to fill their homes. Pray your peace, provision of strength will fill their lives. May the members of our armed forces be supplied with courage to face each day, and may they trust in the Lord's mighty power to accomplish each task. Let our military brothers and sisters feel our love and support. In the name of Jesus, amen.
I would like to thank all who attended here today. I especially like to thank all the veterans who have served this country. We wouldn't have the freedoms today if it weren't for you and your sacrifices of time, effort, and in some cases, life. God bless you. God bless the United States of America, and enjoy your holiday weekend.
Thank you.